These beings are totally different or a big part compared to our DNA. We have this technology, this metal, this intervention and also eggs, and we also observe the size of approximately 60 centimeters. They have 3 fingers. Many Mesoamerican cultures have shown, in drawings and engravings, beings with 3 fingers. So we begin to understand why not in coexistence. This goes far beyond official Pentagon disclosures, even disclosures by pilots. Ryan Graves has been there. He has explained what he thinks, what he has been able to see, that is, at a level, let's say, much more tangible. These gentlemen are going light years, and I know you will still be divided, but apparently there is a lot of evidence. But the detractors that we can see on the internet or anyone who wants, that is false. They have to prove it and they have to spend the money to do these investigations and pay for it.
However, the research that has been carried out since April 2017 allows us to understand that we are facing something that we have not seen before on our planet. We do not know what it is. We do not know its exact origin. What we do know is that these specimens are 1,000 years old, that they measure between 60 and 58 centimeters in height, that they are humanoid because they walk bipedally on 2 feet, they have a trunk, limbs. Humanoids. OIDS in Greek means shaped like hominids. They are not a hominid. They are not any type of monkey, chimpanzee, ape. It is something truly different. We also know that they are reptiles because they lay eggs, their gestation and the analyses of scientific instruments. Now this is not what some person says. This is what scientific instruments that lay eggs say. Therefore they would come to enter the category of humanoid reptiles. We could add that they are intelligent humanoid reptiles, since they have metal implants inside their bodies. It is also a true mystery what those implants are, what they were used for, what they were used for. However, what is an objective and direct fact is that the metals are there in some of these specimens, like those that are already at the San Luis Gonzaga University in Ica. They're in Peru, where the mummy Luisa is found, the mummy Josefina and the Victoria mummy, among others. Today we are going to analyze the specimen called the clear mummy. I want to specify and establish that it is not a natural mummy in terms of having been eviscerated, that its organs were removed. No, it is desiccated.
You understand very well. I didn't say dissected, I said desiccated.
It is a natural drying based on Atamea earth powders, fossilized microscopic algae. And for all these details, which are what an in-depth investigation consists of, a whole team of experts meets with me, each in their field, starting with Dr. Jose de Jesus Sales Benitez.
How are you, Doctor? Very good afternoon, Fernando. Very grateful for this invitation and for having this historic opportunity to be able to broadcast live the image analysis that will be performed on this body.
A notary public is also with us to attest to the facts, so that it is also clear in all the terms of legality that what you are going to witness here now is completely real and completely legitimate. I am going to allow myself to ask the lawyer. Let him tell us his name and position. Thank you, Mr. Welcome. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Carlos Mesa. I am the owner of Notary Office 35 of the state of Mexico. Nice to meet you. Let's attest to the facts. Is it correct? Faith of the facts of what is carried out here.
Indeed, I was required to attest to the facts of what is going to happen at this moment.
Extraordinary, graduate. Very welcome. Guillermo is also with me, who is a specialist at this one of the most important clinics in Mexico that has some of the most modern laboratories with high-tech equipment. Your name and position, please.
How are you? Good afternoon.
William.
I am a radiology technician from the clinic here. To begin these studies, we have this team. It is a Toshiba Aquiline with 64 slices. It is of high image fidelity, and with this we are going to begin the corresponding studies.
Extraordinary. What is it for those of us who are not very familiar with these topics? What exactly does this team do?
Well, look, they are several image structures, they are multiplanar images, and at the time of their reconstruction they allow us to make a 3D reconstruction and allow us to analyze the interior of any object.
In this case, Guillermo, I want to share with you based on what I have already learned, that it is a body, a specimen. Well, then we can start this transmission. Once again I welcome you who have just joined. Truly excited. Excited in the fact that we are going to be here with this situation. And well, we are also going to introduce other specialists who are with us. Yes, let me go with them. Please come in. I want to introduce them. They are going to be on the other side of this area where we have to use this type of equipment, armored suits, lead suits, etc. And let the doctors, the specialists, introduce themselves.
Your name and position, please.
I am Dr. Rubian Garcia Linaje. I am an orthopedic surgeon. I specialize in joint surgery, and my intention today is to evaluate the dull parts, the extremities, the entire joint issue to be able to see what it is about.
With equipment like this, it is possible to determine if it is a body in a supposition, in a speculation, to clarify to the public, to friends, to scientists, to academics. Can it be determined if it is assembled with different parts?
Something like that. This type of equipment, tomography, as we already mentioned, can perform a reconstruction.
A possible organic structure in a gestation state, which makes it easier to determine that it is a living organism. Right now we are going to start the study, and we hope to see the same situation in the abdomen of this body called Clara.
Well, there you have it. The images are there. The images are now being aired. I asked the master about the position where I am. He couldn't see. And so it is a truly extraordinary moment. Today, September 18, 2023, in which I can have the privilege, because this is a privilege, it is an honor and a pleasure too, to be in front of one of these specimens again, which, I repeat, were found by a searcher for minerals there in Peru, in a cave of diatom algae, where at least 9 specimens like this have emerged. So the expectation is great, it is interesting. What is happening right now? Dr. Jose de Jesus Sales, with this instrument.
Right now the body is being placed inside the tomograph with the intention of calibrating the equipment. It has just turned on. It begins to rotate. It is a giant magnet that turns, and this will make the cuts little by little as it advances. The body will be made cephalic, apodalic cuts, that is, of the head at the feet, making cuts that allow observation of millimeter structures.
Well, these millimeter structures are the ones that Notary Public number will attest to the facts. Number 35, Carlos Meza, yours truly.
Yes, Mr. Carlos Meza, I don't know, but now yes, so that you can be the one to give your voice. Obviously I'm very excited too. My intervention at this moment is going to be based on attesting that the body that is entering this device is actually the one that is going to be printed in the analyses or in the results that result from that analysis, because naturally in my capacity as a notary I do not have expertise in medical issues. Simply verifying that the element that is being introduced into the device is the study that reflects whether it is the same thing.
More than clear, extraordinary lawyer, because there you heard how this fact is treated. I remembered that there were the expert and surgeon, an expert in radiology.
Finally, we are confirming the presence of the union of the skull and the neck naturally, which implies that, as the orthopedic doctor explained, it could not have been the union of a skull of another species attached to this body, because you would see the residue of the manipulation of that skull, the carvings, the fractures, the cuts, the unions, and here it is not observed. On the contrary, you can see a perfect union between the skull and the neck, and finally we have reached the abdomen where yes, you can see these pieces that look like or could be eggs.
The Mexican government was just presented with little bodies claimed to be aliens found in a mine. I do hope that we find real aliens.
You said no, and the lie detector test determined that was a lie. Once again, we are faced with a body that if it had been modified post-mortem, that is, after death, it would have a series of alterations that would be visible in these studies. Not having found any of these post-mortem characteristics, we are then determining that it is an organism that was alive at the time, was intact, was biological, and was in a moment of gestation. The truth is that we are reaching a very good interpretation by the radiology specialist and the orthopedic specialist that confirm the data and information of the results that have been previously presented since 2017.
Well, more than extraordinary. There you have it. I would like to ask Guillermo. Guillermo is here. If he can show us that part of the chest that shines, which is one of the metal implants, to ask the specialists again. First of all, the radiologist Armando Gonzalez. That thing that shines there. Yes, do you want to point it out? What is seen on camera? That thing that shines there, is that normal? Why do we infer that it is metal based on the analyses of other specimens?
Well, here this equipment allows us to measure something called Hounsfield units. This gives us the density of any image the equipment is capturing. In this case, the Hounsfield units are above 4,000, which means that it clarifies that it is a metal. Interestingly, he is also measuring this in the lower extremities units of 2,500 units, so it appears that he has metal in the lower extremities as well. However, that plate doesn't look like it's embedded with nails, it looks adhered, right? Well, it seems that it does not belong to the bone of the rib cage.
So I feel very proud of what has been achieved. Obviously I can't know because I haven't seen it, I haven't analyzed it, but gentlemen, we are seeing that this is very serious and it is something very nice that Mexico takes this initiative.
To a biological being the same way from here, right? I mean, maybe we don't know what it is, but there are, as the doctor said, certain ribs that are assembled in a certain logical way to a skeleton, and there are others that are in the spinal canal. This, I think, either had a trauma or something, right? I mean, it's a very logical aspect, right? It has the upper limb joint, it also looks real, it has glenoids, it has a joint there, transposing it to a human glenohumeral body. Maybe the tourist box is very small, we can't see the windows. Well, there is no remnant that can tell us that there is a lung or something, right? But.
And yes, no, but Gonzalez, excuse me, can you repeat that term? You said, glenoids or how I say it, what does it mean?
The glenoid is, it's like the dome where the upper extremity is assembled and gives the upper extremity the margins of movement. That is the numeral joint of the upper limb. And just like on the hip down here, it can't be seen here. Here there is no union of the lower extremity to the acetabulum. I tell you, it has a lot of time, but that's what doesn't have much attendance there. But yes, they are bones very similar to an animal skeleton and in certain ways to humans in the upper extremity.
Similar to those of humans. Yes, doctor.
Yes, in the upper part that Armando says, that is seen in many residences with humans. We can see the humeral part and the glenoid part. If we see this in a human, it is very similar. Even in the X-rays that we saw, which were previously released, in those X-rays we even saw a little wear, a little osteoarthritis, which is what we also see in sometimes elderly patients who find a shoulder already worn out. Here the characteristics of the shoulder are very similar. Unlike the hip, we do not find a part that fits very well like the hip femoral joint that we normally see. It's a little different, it's one of the things that draws attention. If it was a being that walked upright, that part of the spine also draws attention. If you notice, the spine is completely straight. Normally the spine in people who walk upright has certain angulations, scoliosis, lordosis, kyphosis, etc. And here it is completely straight.
That we went there with friends from the Incariat Institute, who sent greetings, because we all went together with the documentary filmmakers from Televisor Agaya who helped finance the trip, our friend Yurka, and well, they wanted to document what we were facing. And Joyce Mantilla, our friend journalist from Peru, he told us first, We must remember, he told us, I don't know you. I am a journalist of politics, entertainment and criticism, but I asked to be in this investigation because the images that are being published on the internet of these beings, or of these bodies, or of these objects are causing excitement in my country, he said. And he also told us, Joyce Mantilla, if you come to my country to deceive, to try to do a trick, advertising only for television, I am going to report you, remember?
Correct. That's what Joyce Mantilla told us, and in fact he was one of the most surprised because he realized that what we were talking about was something outside the parameters, totally real, and as you can see right now, the moment I took the body out of the box, it is completely rigid, and this is due to the desiccation process that it has, and therefore the entire dried organic structure becomes completely rigid. This allows for slightly easier manipulation. However, you have to be much more careful because it is very fragile and at any moment it could fracture or separate one of the pieces. This specimen, as soon as we finish doing the study, I will show it to you a little more on camera. It has some missing toes, and this is precisely because of the manipulation it had in previous moments before arriving here in Mexico, and it lost those little pieces of fingers precisely because it is a very fragile piece, being completely rigid. It is very fragile and can break and fragment at any time.
Well, there you have this detail. Let me also tell you that you have told friends that at that moment the journalist Joyce Mantilla won one of these armored suits for us. He put it on and says, I'm going to mess with the person who took the badge and he's not going to change my plate.
Dr. Jasner Casa, the director of the hospital, was present to lend credibility to the analysis and had access to advanced equipment like the Toshiba Aquilian CT scanner. Carlos Mesa, an auditor, was present to certify that the analysis was conducted live using the hospital's equipment. Jose Benitez, a physician and forensics specialist in the Mexico Navy, was the original analyst of the mummy. Thank you for liking, sharing and subscribing. Season 2 is getting rave reviews from test audiences, and soon you will see what exciting stories we have coming. Stay tuned.